So let's face it, one of the biggest fears we have as ABDLs is opening up to someone we thought we could trust and then being exposed by that person. So could you imagine having your ABDL side exposed to over 400 of your friends and family? For most of us, that's our worst nightmare. But for our guest Forrest, it's actually what happened to him. So today he's going to share how it happened and how he's been working through it. If you want to reach out to Forrest and thank him for coming on the show, you can find all his contact info in the show notes of this episode at thelittlelounge.com/142. On that same page, you'll also see a video preview of my latest Nurturing Mommy roleplay and a link to sign up and get access to over 20 roleplays plus a new one every week for just $5 a month. And just so you know, I do make 2 versions of each, one for boys and one for girls because I want everyone to feel included. Again, the link to all of this is thelittlelounge.com/142. Quick shout out to Andrew, our newest member. Thank you so much for signing up, as well as all the other new members. We're about to hit 500 patrons, which is just amazing. So thank you guys all for your support. All right, I'm not going to make you wait any longer. Let's get started. What's up, Forrest? How's it going?
Good. How are you doing, Lo?
I'm good. Just, enjoying this 60-degree weather. It's nice and sunny here where I'm living, so not too bad.
I'm jealous. It's cold and it's sunny today, but it was cold and rainy the last few days here. So.
Oh dang! Yeah, I know. Yeah. Pretty lucky compared to most of the rest of the United States right now.
Yeah, I'm praying for snow. So let's see what happens.
Praying for snow? You snowboard or something?
Yeah, for 22 years now, 23, something like that. So,
dang! Oh, that's cool.
Doing it a while.
I went skiing.
We're
for
going
the
to Montana.
Time. Oh, nice. So what do you identify as within the ABDL community?
So kind of switchy. I go between like little and then caregiver. Like some days I'll have that instinct. And then started out as DL, but I have some AB tendencies as well. So sort of all over the spectrum, I guess.
That's cool. So would you say it's about like an equal split between little and big?
Yeah, I'd say that's accurate. And, some days I'll do it, and then other days or weeks will go by and I won't even think about it. And then, so it's just kind of an up and down kind of thing,
Yeah, I totally get that. Before I had a partner who knew about this side of me, it was so weird because I would almost go for months, almost forgetting that I even was into it.
Yeah, and I'll do that too because I'll go a few months even, and it's when you do it by yourself. So, for years, it kind of becomes maybe not as special. And then you kind of forget about it, like you said. Yeah. So. Yeah,
I know. There would be some things where I'd get super into it, maybe a little bit too much. And then just drop it to the side and forget about it for a little while. And then something would spark it. And then I'd be like, all right, well, I'm feeling it again,
Yeah. And most times it's not planned. Like I'd come home from the gym or something. I'm like, yep, it's happening.
It's just one of those days. Do you find there's any specific triggers that make you want to be in a little mode?
Sometimes I'll get to having maybe a daydream about being a daddy or just snuggling up with a mommy figure. And then I'm like, yeah, I need to go put some diapers on and just get in that mindset.
I don't know about you, but for me, before I had a little of my own, it was really hard to feel like a caregiver when you're by yourself. You know what I mean?
It's the worst. Yeah, it's so sometimes I'll go back to past relationships in my mind and pretend that I'm doing it with them, which probably isn't really healthy, but it's I have nothing else to sort of to go with. So, but yeah, it's tough by yourself. It sure is.
I would do that with my past boyfriends too. Some of them jokingly would call me mom because I'd start doing everything to take care of them, their laundry, cooking for them,
Oh, that's so sweet.
doing all that stuff.
I love it.
I mean, you take it where you can get it, right?
You take little bits of love and that warm feeling. It makes you feel good. So
maybe they're not acting like a baby, but I'm still getting that nurturing feeling. So
yep. Yeah, I would do it as soon as a past relationship, if it became a thing, we named it, then it got weird for them. But if I was kind of sweet and caring without, saying, hey, this is a thing, it was cool. And then as soon as I put a name to it, it was they're weirded out. I'm well.
That's the thing about labels, right? Is someone can then just do a Google search and just kind of make a lot of assumptions about what you're doing.
Yeah, it's exactly what happened. Exactly right. Yep. So instead of talking to me about it, they went on their own little foray and found stuff. And, that's never good.
Never good. So how many people have you told?
Not a whole lot. Usually I'd wait until I felt like a spark or excited about somebody. And then I would kind of like bring up kink in general, like a general idea of kink before I would get to specifics. And so if they didn't jive with like kink as a general thing, then I wouldn't bring up ABDL. But so I probably told maybe 4 or 5 people.
4 or 5? That's pretty good, actually.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Some people have told 0, so I mean that's pretty good.
Yeah, I've definitely gotten better about it. But my problem in the past is I was very insecure and I lacked the confidence of being like, hey, this is what I'm into. This is what I like. Let's discuss it. So I would say, hey, this is kind of weird, but that's never a good way to preface a discussion about something. So
that's true. The build up, right? When you're like, I'm kind of scared to tell you about this, but
exactly. But to sort of branch off from that question just a touch, I was outed in college, and we can maybe get to that later. But so in that instance, probably 400 or so people found out about it. And,
oh my God.
Yeah, that was social suicide, or it sure felt that way. So
let's make that 405 people.
Yeah, that's right. I like it. That's right.
Unintentionally. But
unintentionally, correct. Yes.
Okay, we will get to that in a second. But would you say that it kind of, maybe the first time was the worst and then it got easier as you went on and you learned more? Or did you make a bunch of mistakes?
I would say I definitely made a mistake. It was, so it was really hard. So I found out about it before the internet was really a thing. The web was young. There wasn't a lot of stuff online about it. So I didn't really know how to handle it. And so I kept it to myself for a while. And then I really started to get the urge to tell people. So when I told a girlfriend in college, I was really, like I said, insecure about it. And her reaction was, don't ever tell anyone else that again.
That was her reaction?
That was what she said, yeah. And so that really affected me. And then it took a while before I opened up again. But it did get better, and I would consistently bring it up maybe every couple months as the years went on, and I had more relationships. And I finally got to the point where I stood up for myself and was like, hey, look, this is something I need, and if you're not willing to talk or to indulge me a little bit, I don't think this is going to work. And I got to the point where I was okay saying that, where, okay, well, maybe the relationship is going to end, and that's okay. This is me, and this is who I am. So
I agree. I mean, I feel like I used to feel like you shouldn't say that you need it, but at the same time, now that I'm looking back at that, I'm like, you really do kind of need this, right? Like, it's going to come back, and you're going to be in a relationship, and if you feel like you can't express it, you're going to go elsewhere looking for it.
You're exactly right. And it took me a long time. Well, I'd say 15 years or so, I repressed it because I wanted to be, normal, whatever normal means.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be like everybody else and accept it. And, and I realized that all that did was made me moody and upset and depressed. And then it affected my partner negatively. And, it just wasn't good for anybody.
It's like you're denying this very important part of yourself.
Yeah, you are. And it's okay to need that. And that's what took me so long to realize. Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people feel like, oh, it's just easier to just pretend like I don't need this. And maybe in the moment, it definitely is. It's easier to not say anything, right? Like,
yes.
way easier. But you do have to think about that person and your future with them and your own future and think like, am I really going to be happy if I'm having to do this in secret for the rest of my life?
Right. And now you mentioned that my last girlfriend, long-term relationship I was in, we talked briefly about moving in together. And my first thought was, well, when am I going to wear diapers when you go to the grocery store? like what in the world? Yeah. And right then I knew, like, this is an issue.
That's so true.
So
When you move in with someone, there's there's hardly any privacy.
No. And I was freaking out, and I was anxious, and I was stressed out about it. And eventually we broke up, but that was kind of the aha moment, I guess you could say, where I'm like, yeah, this is something I need.
That's a sign. I mean, I feel like if you would have ignored that gut feeling you got and then went into that relationship, you'd start feeling a little bit resentful, like you couldn't just be yourself.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right. Yep. And I've seen that in the local kink community here with some of the littles, that are married to vanillas, and they're miserable. And I'm just happy that, I escaped that, I guess. So.
No, honestly, I agree with you. Even though it hurts, like, to be rejected by someone up front, it's like, it's better that now than when you're so deep into it, you're married and have kids and you got a house together and everything, it's way more complicated then.
Yeah, it's very complicated. So I'm thankful in that regard, but it does get lonely on the other hand.
I mean, yeah, it really does. I know. I mean, it wasn't until recently that I even had my own little, and even before I met my fiance, like, I remember just thinking, like, is that even possible for me? Like, am I actually going to meet someone that, like, first of all, is into this just as much as I am, and second of all, that I'm attracted to?
See, that's the kicker. Yeah, there's people that, you're right, that are into it, and I'm like, this is so great, you accept me, but I have no romantic interest in you either. Yeah. And it's like, dang it.
You need both. You really need both.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, I'm glad you found someone. I think it's great. That gives me. It's encouraging.
I don't give up. Seriously, you'll find someone out there, and that's why I also have been encouraging people. Put yourself out there online in some kind of way, like on a kink profile, or even reach out to people that you feel like you can trust. From your vanilla account, because there's so many people on Instagram like messaging me from their vanilla accounts. They have no kink profile, and I'm like. They're like attractive people, and I'm like, they're out there, guys. Like, just trust me, they're in hiding. Like, make yourself visible.
Right. Make your online presence. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Okay, so I can't wait anymore. We have to talk about this exposure thing. Like, let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay, I'll try and paraphrase or keep it short. So for 3 years in college, my freshman year, I found a site called Diaper Pail Friends, which is. Keep in mind, this was like 2000, so I doubt it's around anymore. And it got me interested. I'm like, wow, look at these people wearing diapers. And so, fast forward about 6 months, I picked up a pack of diapers at the drugstore, freaking out, and tried them on and loved it, fell in love with it. So for 3 years, I was wearing in secret and getting more and more anxious about, like, how am I going to share this? Like, I'm tired of keeping this to myself. And so I was in a fraternity. And the girl I was dating was in a sorority. It's kind of how that goes sometimes, unfortunately. And,
I know.
Yeah. I'm like, it's just Greek life is something else. But anyway, she was on my computer doing some research, and she found a video that I had made, a short video of me in diapers wetting them. And I think it was just wetting. It may have been both. Yeah, right. Now, I don't think I showed anything, but I think I was like being verbal about what I was doing. And I had showed it to a couple online that I had become friends with, and they were very appreciative of it.
Not everyone appreciates that kind of stuff.
That's right, and that's fine. Like, totally get it. And so she found it, and she decided to share it with her roommate, who was also in the sorority. And then her roommate went and blabbed to the entire sorority and showed them. And then the sorority showed my fraternity, and then somehow my parents ended up finding out about it.
What?
Right. My girlfriend's parents found out about it. And so, the people that I thought were my friends laughed at me and called me names and made jokes behind my back and said cruel things. And women I didn't even know would make rude comments just around campus and call me names and be like, oh, you're that guy. And, I was devastated. I mean, it was traumatic. It was literally traumatic. I thought my life was over. I thought my social, all my friends were gone. My parents forced me to go to therapy to get cured. Yeah, it was a really hectic, depressing time. And I just wanted to die, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
I wanted to check out. The shame was pretty intense. I thought about transferring, and not once did anyone come up and say, hey, why do you do this? Or what do you get out of this? All they said was, well, that's what you get for putting it online. And
Did you?
Go ahead.
So, did she snoop, or was it just like open on your computer?
Oh, she totally was snooped. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, totally. 100%. Yeah. So, and, at the time I was very insecure about it. And so I believed all the hype and all the negative feedback and thought that I really had an issue and that I was screwed up and, that I needed therapy to fix my sinful ways or whatever.
How'd that work out?
It did not work out. Yeah. So I go to therapy, to a general therapist, God bless him. And after about 8 months, he came to the conclusion that, hey, this isn't hurting anybody. It's not harming you or anyone near you. You're not obsessed with it. He's like, I'm pretty sure you're going to have this for the rest of your life in some, manner. And he's like, I actually don't see the harm in doing it, indulging now and then.
Thank God for him.
Right. I know. And this was a guy that he was not a sex therapist or any of that. He was just a regular relationship therapist. And thank God for that guy. But my parents were not happy with his diagnosis.
Really?
Oh, not at all. Yeah. Can you imagine? Yeah. Surprise. Yeah. And neither was anyone else. But after that, I swore off diapers and ABDL and anything around it for 5 years. I must have gone through like 10 purge cycles, buy diapers, throw them away, buy them, throw them away. It was a bad, dark time. Yeah.
How do you get through that? Like, I'm just trying to picture myself in that situation and I'm like, I don't see the light. Like, how do you know what I mean? Like, that's so hard.
I totally understand. Basically, I decided that I kind of got mad. I made myself get mad. Just be like, all right, you know what? Screw you guys then. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, and you're not going to deter me from living my life and, going out to mixers and social events and, it was hard and depressing and dark and my grades slipped and, I didn't have relationships and it was bad. Yeah, it was really hard.
So was anyone supportive at all, ever?
No.
Not a single person?
Not one person.
Not even someone who was like, hey man, that really sucks. Like, I'm sorry that happened to you.
No, I don't think anybody ever said that either.
Everybody just fucking turned their back. They're like,
pretty much. Yeah. And they tried to ignore it and they just laughed. I mean, eventually it went away. It kind of fell out of the public mindset, but they would still bring it up every so often. I'm like, guys, man, like, yeah. So I should have left that fraternity. Those guys were terrible.
I can't believe you stayed.
I can't
Kudos
either.
to you. Like, honestly, I don't know how you managed to stay.
Yeah, it's like I still have it, and it affects me to this day, and that's why I still have such a difficult time dating because I immediately think about how am I going to get rejected now? Like that's my first thought.
That's horrible.
It sucks. Yeah. So I'm actually seeing a sex therapist now for about 4 years, and she's been wonderful. So I'm working on it.
So on the timeline of how things unfolded, when did you get exposed? Like, was this in between like the 4 or 5 other times you opened up, or was it at the very beginning or at the end?
This was probably after the first time, maybe.
Okay. So you had this girl you open up to with your most secretive secret.
Right.
And she tells you, never tell anyone this. And then you go to college and you're dating the sorority girl and she exposes you to hundreds of people.
Yes. Yeah. That's
God. Why do bad things happen to good people?
I don't know. I think that's the $1 million question. Appreciate you saying so, but yeah, it was really hard, and it's definitely put the furrows in my psyche of anxiety and stress and all that when it comes to dating and kink. So it's affected me since then. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. I don't know how it wouldn't, but okay. So how do you muster up the strength then to tell a few more people after that? Like, what changed your mind about it?
Well, it took me a while. Like I said, like 5 years afterward, I just forswore anything that had to do with ABDL at all. Even looking at porn on the internet, like I didn't even look at any of that. But
once your parents get involved, I'm sure you're just like, this is a turnoff now. Like, I'm not thinking about this.
It was for a bit. You're right. Yeah, it was just like, I can't even imagine that they know this now.
Yeah.
it was terrible. But yeah, so after that 5 years, it still stayed around. Like it was still in my thought process. And I'm like, man, like I want to wear a diaper again, and I want to share this with a woman, somehow. Like,
seems like an impossible feat, but like
it does. It just seemed like this formula that no mathematician had ever solved. And and so I would date vanilla, go on Match and whatever the sites were at the time, and I could tell. And then I would open up every so often, and I could tell, yep, this isn't going anywhere. And
yep. And
so actually, the next time I opened up she actually was a little more accepting. This is probably 2010 maybe. And she said, she's like, oh, I don't have a problem with that, but I don't have any part in it either.
Neutral. Right.
I was like, yeah. I'm like, well, okay, this is a baby step.
Yeah.
But we didn't work out because she moved away for a job. So, but after that was my ex-girlfriend, the one I just told you about. And I totally opened up to her about it after like 3 months into it. Again, I was insecure. I wasn't very confident. And she just couldn't understand it. Like she needed to have this understanding about why. And I never could help her with that. So, like I even actually sent her your podcast.
Really?
And she listened to some of your podcast, and she's like, well, she said it kind of normalizes it for me, but I still don't want anything to do with it.
That's fair, I guess.
And I'm like, okay, like I get it. So that was after the, like, are we going to move in together?
Uh-huh.
And so that didn't work out. And then, yeah, so it's just, it just hadn't worked, unfortunately.
Have you ever tried a kink dating site before? I get a lot of questions about that, but I don't have any experience with it.
Yeah, so the kink apps and the kink dating sites seem to be, especially the ABDL ones, like I think there's abdlmatch.com. It's like 98% spam.
I can imagine. I think I'm on there. I think I have like 20 different profiles on there.
Are you? Yeah. And it's like I get all these emails from these beautiful women, and I'm like, I'm suspicious immediately. And then it turns out that they're not who they say they are, or it's a bot talking or something.
Yeah.
So, and I'm on FetLife too, and that so far hasn't yielded fruit because I've actually been to some ABDL events, but the romantic connection or the attraction hasn't been there. So,
how many events have you been to?
Just 2.
Local events in your area?
Yep. Local. Yep. And I actually, just wore a diaper out in public, within the event, and a shirt. It was for Halloween and said, "My diaper is my costume." Right. Yeah, it was kind of fun. So they're around here, but it's still a very niche thing. And most people in the kink community aren't accepting of it. They're into the BDSM, and the sub-dom kind of dynamic.
The meaner stuff.
Yeah, right. Exactly. The stuff that everybody's like, it's cool.
It's not cute and fluffy.
Yeah, exactly. Like I want
dark and scary.
Right. Like I want to be loving and gentle with some spanking maybe, but I don't need to put bruises on you or welts or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. 2 very different things.
And so I look very alpha, and in my daily life I am like military and all this other stuff. And so when I go to some of these events, women are like, ooh, Dom. And I'm like,
baby. I'm a baby.
Yeah. Or I'll be your daddy. Will you wear a diaper for me? And so it's totally over at that point. Yeah.
I'll pour wax on you, whatever you want, but you got to be a diaper.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, well, it's a long journey. I'm sure it's going to take some time. I mean, anything worth finding will take time, but
yes.
I wish that more women who message me on Instagram from their vanilla accounts would just make a profile and, start posting things. So you make yourself easier to find,
Right. I would love that. Yeah.
So if you're listening out there, women.
Is Instagram a good place to I feel like, I don't know. I don't want to be creepy, like hey, random girl. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard. So I had one more question before we have to get off here, but how has your relationship with your parents changed or stayed the same? How are things with that?
Well, so my parents were older. So Dad actually passed about 8 years ago, but thank you. It's okay. We had a good relationship, but he was born in the 30s, and Mom was born in the early 40s. So sort of what's dubbed the silent generation, and so So it wasn't a whole lot of talking.
Yeah.
So like they knew about it, and I came home after the fact, after they'd found out for Thanksgiving, and I think there was like maybe 5 minutes of convo about it, and that was it.
Never
Forever.
spoken of again.
Never spoken again.
Well, thank goodness for that, right? I mean, it's not something you want to be talking about with your parents, I'm sure.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So after that, it was kind of like it never happened, which I guess is good because they didn't, like, judge me, I suppose, but maybe they did.
And things are back to normal now.
Right.
Good.
Okay.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. At least there's one good part to this story.
Right. I mean, it's so gloomy, but yeah.
Yeah. All right, Forrest. Well, it was so nice getting to know you, and thank you so much for sharing your story on here and telling me all about your freaking nightmare exposure. That's crazy. I'm so sorry that you had to go through that.
Thank you. Yeah, this has been an honor to be on your show. I've really enjoyed it. So.
All right, we'll be in touch.
Sounds good.
All right, bye, Forrest.
Bye.